You and
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff and I went up and played.
Yeah, good.
Hi, everyone. Hope we get to see your
Hello.
happy faces on Monday. At least human faces would be nice. Hope you all
You
had a
saying we're not
great.
human, Kim?
No, you are all human. Seneca staff is wonderful. So is the administration. Did y'all have a great Christmas and stuff? Thumbs up.
Okay.
Thanks, Chris.
We are live on Facebook and recording this board meeting.
Okay.
Mrs. Ray, we do have a quorum, and Levi is going to pull up a flag for the pledge. So we'll take that as a cue once Levi's ready. There we go.
All right, let's all stand for the pledge. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of
To the
America.
flag of the United States of America and to the republic
One
which
nation,
stands
under
one
God,
nation under God,
indivisible, with
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
and justice.
Mrs. Ray, there are no changes to the agenda, but as we said, the pledge, it did come up in the teleprompter as Ball Fans Nation, so that might be a good omen for Saturday. So
Let's hope. So I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion, Barb.
Motion.
Okay, so we got a motion by Barb, second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried.
May I just interrupt? I don't see Sue Freeze. Is Sue Freeze on here?
not yet, Janet.
We just have 6 A's then at this point in time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to our presentations for school safety and reopening. So we'll turn it over to Dr. Beeler.
Yes.
All right, terrific. Thank you. Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. In November, we determined that based upon the infection rate in Cattaraugus County, that in order to protect our students and staff, it would be prudent at that time to transition to fully remote learning. We have been in that mode for the past several weeks. At that time, we identified next Monday, which is January 11th, as our return date. The district has spent several days reviewing the data that we have available to us. And unfortunately, not much has actually changed. I'll share one of the points that we use for data right here. And as you can see, this is the Cattaraugus County positive rates over time. Today, we reached a 7-day average of 10%. Yesterday's percent was actually 15.6 or 0.7, which is actually higher than it has been in quite a while. We had anticipated that there would be some changes and fluctuations and increases after the holidays. And I think at this point in time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Bridenstine, who has a couple comments on the same topic as well.
Thanks, Mark. As Mark indicated, we were moving in a cautiously optimistic, hopeful position that we would be able to return next week. And the numbers later this week may fluctuate and we may see a positive trend with a downward multiple day average. But at this point in time, absent a change in the data, I think it would be wise if we continue to implement our plan that focuses in on the safety of children and our faculty and staff and provide our parents as much advance notice as we can. While I would like to very much say we're open for business and let's have the kids back in school, I think we've subscribed to our plan that's based on the science and the numbers and the identification rates and where the trend is taking us. And while there is some positive things happening with the rollout of the vaccine, the data just doesn't support a return at this point in time. And what I would recommend to the board is that we continue the closure for the week of January 4th through the 8th, this Friday. And then we close for next week, and then we make a similar determination next week, Monday, after we get through the weekend, and we see if in fact the numbers do start to tilt in a positive direction. But with a 7-day average of 10%, that's even above the governor's stated level within the last 24 hours that schools should be starting to make some of those decisions at a 9% rolling average. We're not quite there, and that would be my recommendation to the board, absent any other opinions or input from the board members.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, Teresa, if I can just also add, hearing no dissent with that, we will start the notification process of faculty and staff and families so that they can have advance notice of what's going to happen for next week, Monday through Friday. And I would note that the following week is Martin Luther King Jr. weekend as well. So that does give us an extra slingshot of a planned holiday. And we'll take from there. We'll keep monitoring through the safety committee and keep everyone apprised. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob, for that. I just wanted to mention that I think that's the right approach. We're only a week removed from the holidays. Giving it another week is just the safe approach, and I think that's the right decision. Thanks.
I agree, Carrie. That's me and Bob talked about it a little bit earlier, and I feel the same way. You're just coming off of a holiday, and why not give it an extra week just to make sure people aren't coming down with anything before they head back to school. So yeah. I agree. Does anyone else have any other comments?
No, I agree with it too. I think it's better to be safe, especially with the new variation of the virus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. And just to urge everyone to please, 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 limit those social interactions. I know it's difficult, but do it. There was a meme that was on Facebook that said using a negative COVID test as a reason to go to a party is like, using a pregnancy test as contraception. And I think that was a really good analogy there. If you get a negative test, there's a really high rate of the false negatives on those. So, don't have that sense of assurance that you're good to go to interact with people. Because that's, I think, been the downfall. There's been a wide availability of testing, and people have gone to test and said it's okay to go to these parties. It's okay to be around families. And we've had lots of outbreaks. We've had lots of outbreaks in our community too, that are really difficult. So, just to urge everyone to please stay home so that we can all get back to school and work.
Thanks, Meg.
Teresa, I do want to note that Sue is on the call currently.
Okay. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you.
Okay. Then let's move to our next presentation, My Brother's Keeper. And that is also Dr. Beeler.
All right, terrific. Thank you. So I have a brief presentation on with regard to My Brother's Keeper and where we are with that. Let's see, there we go. Let's see. So My Brother's Keeper, we received as a 3-year grant. This is My Brother's Keeper Native American program, which is specific for Native American students, and even more so for Native American male students. That grant amounts to $158,000 and $158,055 per year. There were 2 goals that we established with the Title VI and with the IEC committee to match up with the goals of the My Brother's Keeper program. One is to create a mentor program that pairs Native American males with role models from the Seneca Nation of Indians. And 2, to create a cohesive, aligned pre-K-12 curriculum that promotes and strengthens cultural awareness and education. Both of those are goals that we as a district have been looking to put forward, and they meshed exceptionally well with the program goals for My Brother's Keeper. So with regard to goal 1, That has been delayed a bit. In fact, the 3-year grant itself has been extended because a lot of what districts had put in place or intended to put in place has been delayed. But we are moving forward with that mentoring program. This first step in that is to hire a mentoring program coordinator who will work to develop the actual program, specifically the skills and initiatives essentially that we want our mentors to work with our male students on. Those interviews are actually scheduled for next week. And I anticipate that we will have a program coordinator brought forth actually for the next board meeting. The second goal, which is the one that I think precipitated some of the conversation that we're having tonight, is focusing on curriculum development. And it is the goal of the district to become a resource for Native American history and studies for the entire state. We're starting small. In other words, we're starting in Salamanca so that we can better put forth a curriculum that more accurately reflects the history and supports the culture of Native Americans, specifically Seneca. But to that end, over the past several months, specifically 8, we have a team of educators that have been working with Dr. Taylor to put together a curriculum. We focus specifically on grades 4 through 8, essentially as a cluster. Grade 11, focusing on U.S. history, Native American studies courses, component on myths and realities, and then also the professional development that goes along with those areas. So the work to date, we've identified, or actually Dr. Taylor has identified specifically unifying themes that can be utilized across all grade levels. Traditionally, we have a grade 7 Longhouse project that has been done. Some of the content and skills that was included in that project has been expanded. And the recommendation is that we take a look at a multi-year approach as opposed to specifically one grade where a project is done. So that's where you'll see that we've added more content to grades 4 through 8 so that we have a multi-year learning progression.
I was working at home, but I just forgot to talk to you about it. That's all. So see if he gives me a sit.
I'm gonna run this upstairs.
Okay.
We also have 2 course proposals for Native American Studies courses. We do have 2 courses already that we are teaching, so there's a little bit of overlap, and those are going through review right now. In addition to that, we have a review of the U.S. history program that's identified by New York State, specifically to look at what is not in the New York State curriculum, so that we can support and reinforce that and add another perspective. There is a proposed list of contemporary issues relative to Native American studies that can tie into either the Native American Studies program courses that we have or into the U.S. history piece. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the professional development outline for educators in each of the grade levels so that they'll have the support necessary to be successful as we put these new pieces of curriculum in place. So all of that is sort of at an infant stage. The work in progress, what we're doing right now, and the future work, we have teams of teachers that are reviewing and revising the curriculum proposals. And then we're also going to be working on pre-K to 3 curriculum development, which is a pretty significant gap in what we have formally. One thing that I do want to acknowledge is that most, if not all of this work has been a collaborative effort with Dr. Taylor, who has been terrific throughout this program. And once we have this sort of vetted through our Salamanca teachers, it'll be ready for production and promotion throughout. We'll start with Western New York and then move and expand that out throughout New York State. Let's see, so that's a little bit of where we are right now and where we're headed. And I would anticipate that if it pleases the board, we could have, once the teachers review the curriculum and figure out where it sort of easily fits into the existing curriculum that we have in place, that they would have an opportunity to present that to the school board so that you could hear from the teachers with some particulars, if you would be interested in that.
I would be very interested in that.
All right.
Me too.
Me too.
I figured that was sort of a softball. Yeah.
Thanks, Mark.
Certainly.
Awesome. I think that's pretty exciting that we're a leader, as we should be. Maybe that's something, if we get it going, we could present at school boards too, if we're developing new curriculum. Just a thought.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, one of the things that has been interesting through this process is how much that I have learned, especially when we look at the myths and realities and how Native Americans are sort of all grouped together and glossed over, and we don't understand and respect the differences within the Native American populations. And a lot of that is directly related to how it is taught in school and what we see in the media. So to be able to have an opportunity to share this with educators, I think it will help them be much more confident in teaching it, so that it's not simply glossed over or omitted completely.
Awesome. Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments? Okay. We'll move on to our next presentation, the IPP policy summary.
So thank you. As some of you may recall, we had a field audit for Indigenous policy and procedures process as a major component of our impact aid application through the U.S. Department of Education. And during the course of that field audit, the department advised that we needed to make some minor adjustments to the procedural process that we have in place. And again, there are 6 policies that are rooted in statute that we cannot change, but we do have a great deal of authority and flexibility with developing the procedures to comply with those regulatory policies. Just quickly, in very quick layman's summary terms, policy 1 is about the dissemination of information and notices to the community. Policy 2 is seeking input from the community. Policy 3 is access and participation levels within the programs. Policy 4 is modifications to the IPP. Policy 5 is tracking and responding to community comments, and policy 6 is distribution of the documents to the Seneca Nation. So this is the first time that we've gone through this process, so it is a work in progress. And in anticipation of submitting this, as I had previously noted, that it's my intent to have it be a January to a December calendar to more closely align with the impact aid application. And in reviewing those documents, I submitted a summary document to President Pagels, to Nancy Williams, our education interim director for the nation, the Indigenous Education Committee members, and Mrs. Ray. So very briefly, in accordance with those 6 policies, with regard to the dissemination of information, one of our main vehicles, and in compliance with what we had discussed with the Seneca Nation, that the primary mode of communication be electronic, we have relied heavily upon our digital footprint on our school district website at salamanca.ny.org/page/Native American-services. That is really the link that will take anyone to any and all things related to our Native American programs and our services, as well as our impact aid and IPP documents. Within this link, you can find, if you go to that site, a summary of Native American services provided to our students and through the district, a current listing of Native American service providers, and this does change frequently. So we do try to keep that as updated as possible following board appointments or personnel decisions that happen that impact the program. There's generally a message from Michaela Redeye, our teacher on special assignment and Native American program service coordinator. It talks about important, thanks Levi, important information on programs, what's happening, 506 forms, a listing of the school liaisons, which may or may not necessarily be an entire list of the Native American services and staff. The family liaisons serve a very specific role. Information and dates for Title VI, information and a link exclusively to the Indigenous Education Committee. Our IPP documents, which is really the meat of policy 1, this is the policy, the application, excluding any personally identifiable student information, and a summary of IPP, as well as a detailed listing of our participation levels and co-curriculars, which self-disclosure is not a lot this year because of COVID. We do expect that will be much more robust once we get back to full participation levels. We do have some clubs and activities that are operating or attempting to operate virtually. And of course, our enrollment data. And we do update the enrollment data several times a year. Our next update will be about Patriots Week once the second semester begins, and there's always some course adjustments. And we use that information to take a look at our enrollment trends and items of curriculum and instruction and trend analysis when it comes to both staffing and programs. And we do take a look at that, and PowerSchool has been monumentally beneficial to help us track this information. And then lastly, there's some information on our website about Native American Heritage Month. So using the premise that we want to get all information to families in a quick, easy, one-stop shop format and mindset, the link off the district website for Native American Services, I think more than adequately fulfills that requirement. I don't want to say we're doing it better. I think we're just doing it differently than a lot of other Indigenous districts in the region in New York State. And in talking with the National Indian Impacted Schools Association, which we belong, we lean on them for guidance in this area. Policy 2 really talks about input from our families and from our community. And the approach that we take with this is when there is a formal request, such as public comment at a board meeting, dialogue at the Indigenous Education Committee or Title VI meetings, or written communications, we treat that as very important, and that will generate a formal response if there's a request for something to be done either programmatically or service-wise. I'll get to it a little bit more in terms of Section 5 with tracking really formal comments. There have been 4 items that have really, in my estimation, triggered a response for written communications. And again, this is a formal process. It's not a conversation passing in the hallway or waiting in line at Tim Hortons if we ever get back to that level. It's really designed through our IPP document to be individuals who take the time to reach out to us formally and share with us their concerns and things that we need to do differently. If I can just skip ahead to policy 5, which is how we track this, we have a running list. And the 4 items of substance this year was in July, we had a request from Seneca Nation Elder to remove Indian from Indian policy and procedures. And as I've stated before, Indian is in statute and regulation. It's the incorrect term. We've discussed this at length, and for all of our internal documents and processes, we refer to it as Indigenous policies and procedures, but the federal statutes still refer to it in the incorrect form, in my opinion. So we have made those changes. In August, we had a meeting as part of our Indigenous Ed Committee, and it came up from the Education Department that we really should provide a more concerted vehicle and conscientious effort to attract Indigenous employees and staff members. And shortly thereafter, we were able to hire 4 individuals that better fit that bill. It is something we are working about and trying to do. And I can say that our policy for several years in terms of our process as a district and our internal operations is any local resident does get preferential consideration during the hiring process. We still have a goal of hiring the best and most qualified individuals, but we have for a number of years subscribed to the notion that if they're local and they know us and they're familiar with us, that's a much better starting point for our employees. And we do have a significant number of individuals that would be quote unquote deemed local, approximately 200 and 50 or so would be local within our immediate geographic area out of approximately 320 staff members. So we have some room to go, but we do track that process. Following that, that led to a follow-up conversation about amending our application process. And this took a little bit of time to kind of map this out with our school attorney to make sure that we were compliant with both state and federal and board policy requirements regarding affirmative action. Approximately 2 weeks ago, we did kind of close this out. We did receive clarification that we will be including as a voluntary disclosure in all of our application processes so that we can better track individuals that better and more closely parallel our population as part of the initial application process. We did have this in place after the fact because that's important information in terms of grants and other federal and state requirements that do encourage us to provide evidence of a diverse population of staff meeting our students' needs. But this is something that will be at the front end of this process. It's voluntary, we can't require it, but from what I understand from the personnel office, most staff are very willing, at least when they had been hired, to complete this form. So, and I think this is becoming more and more common. So we can close that out. And most recently, about a month or so ago, we did have a request to expand participation for Ski Club. And as best as I can tell, we have expanded that. There are approximately 83 students now that are in the queue to participate in Ski Club. There are a few students that do have eligibility requirements, but we did take steps last week and this week to make sure that we had that done. If it does become a larger group, then the advisors and the building principals were directed to work through Karen to make sure that we have the necessary funds to do that. But we do track that, and that is one of the requirements for policy 5. Policy 3 is accessing participation levels. We do take a look at clubs and activities through our Power School portal to have information on what is hot in the students' minds and what's not. Our approach for at least the 10 years I've been superintendent is if there are students interested in a club or an activity, we will fund it. And we have that luxury, whereas other school districts don't. So our big concern is scheduling at this point in time for the 21-22 school year and taking a look at current participation levels and making sure that course requests mirror both student interest, student request, and that we have pathways for students to pursue curriculum and coursework that they're excited and interested in, whether it be STEAM, career tech ed, early childhood, media, or a traditional Regents college preparatory program. The last 2 sections, or 3 sections, excuse me, is modifying the IPP. We do this in July. We do it in December in terms of formal adoptions, and that is translated to the final document that gets submitted to Washington, D.C. In the end of January. We also hold 2 forums, public forums in November and December. So that's 4 bites at the IPP apple to make any modifications. And if either regulatorily or community driven, the need to change happens, we can do that following our regular policy revision. We talk about it, we review it a few times, and then it goes up for a couple of cycles on board meetings just to make sure there are no additional comments. Typically, the IPPs change in the fall once the guidance documentation comes out from the Department of Ed in Washington. Lastly, as I noted, we track our comments, and then the final element is at the end of the year in December, we submit the IPP document to President Pagels and the President's Office through the Seneca Nation. This year is a little bit different, and because of recent federal legislation that was passed in December, because of the pandemic, we can actually use our student counts from last year, and that if we use that number, then the regulatory guidance is we will not need sign-offs, but we will still send the applications to the Seneca Nation. And that is our state of the state for our IPP for the 2020 calendar year, and I'll take any questions if anybody has any.
Anyone? Okay.
Okay, I yield the floor.
All right, let's move on to communications. Is Jess Kraus going to speak tonight for Title VI?
Yep,
Yes.
she is on the line and she should be unmuting herself right now.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
We can.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yes. So this is Jessica Kraus. I'm a vice chair with Title VI, and my message is going to be pretty brief. We haven't had a meeting since the last Board of Education meeting, so I'm just going to take this moment to give a couple shout outs that January 13th, 2021 at 6 p.m. we're going to be holding our next meeting. It is going to be virtual until COVID-19 lets us do otherwise. And further, we acknowledge that we'll be holding a future vote to help the district get moving forward on deciding whether we do a 1 to 3 year grant. So we just wanted to communicate that. And also, we're looking to get more parents involved, and we'll also be advertising different committee seats soon. So if there are parents or community members that are interested in Title VI, please reach out to Native American Services, Ms. Shayla Redeye, or if you already know how to find me, please do so. And if you don't know how to find me, like I said, please reach out to Native American Services, and they can help you get in touch with any of Title VI committee members. So that's all the messages today.
Thanks, Jess. All right, let's move on to our principals and directors reports. Let's start off with Ms. Pavone. How about that?
I'm ready to go. So we are going to be talking a little bit about some of the social emotional things that we've been doing, and things that we've been doing to increase parent engagement during this time. We recently just started some breakfast and lunch bunches on Wednesdays. So any prospect families, check that out for tomorrow. They are separated out by grade levels, spans, so that we can better meet the emotional needs of the students during that time. If there are students that need additional emotional supports, we are tracking that data through OneNote and also through an Excel spreadsheet, and the behavior team reviews that information to see who may need some maybe more one-on-one attention or things like that from our social workers or our guidance counselor. There's on class pages, we have our counseling department does a weekly video for each grade level that the students all have access to. Oftentimes it's a story read with lessons to be gained from the story that can be applied to help them with just social emotional learning, how to be a good friend, how to handle emotional stressors or anything like that. The behavior team still continues to meet on a weekly basis, and the teachers let us know the students and families that they are concerned about that need additional support. And so we review those and see what more can we do to help. Is it a technology need? Is it they need a behavior chart to help with Zoom attendance or different things like that. So we're reviewing that on a consistent basis. Our Facebook page continues to be very active. Right before our winter break, we had December filled of Spirit Days, which I think the students and families really enjoyed. And we had a lot of pictures posted of everyone being involved. And it was a lot of fun. And it just brought some lightheartedness to the season. And I will say, we know it was hard for everyone to not be in the building during that time, because it is really one of our favorite times. There's always so much going on. But we tried to make it as fun as we could. We continue with Homeroom Huddle. Homeroom Huddle is about a 15-20 minute portion of the day that is really to set the kids up for success for the whole day and for teachers to be able to touch base with all the kids that are in their homeroom and build that personal connection. Even though we're doing everything via Zoom right now, that personal connection is critical to our student success and to them being comfortable and excited to learn. So we make sure that that's still being done on a consistent basis along with all the core curriculum areas. Our phones are still working. So if you need help, just give us a call. We're here to help you out and we're here to help your kids out. We do still get phone calls on, technology support. And if it's something that we can't help with, it's great to have the help desk to send that on to. But we really just want everyone to feel if there is a need, call and we'll help the best that we can. And I'm all set.
Thank you. Ms. Beaver?
Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. As always, Seneca School is doing whatever it takes to meet the needs of the students and the grown-ups during this unpredictable time. Engagement seems to be at a steady 85 to 90% throughout the building. The plan we have in place to increase student participation includes multiple steps. So when a student's not engaged in the school day or doing school work, the teacher is to reach out via email or by phone to the family or student. We also utilize our school liaisons, the counseling staff, our social workers, Officer Smith. We reach out to students and families and offer support. Maudie is our attendance officer at Seneca, and she helps tremendously by making calls and reaching out to families when a student is absent. We have given and continue to give students unlimited opportunities to make up assignments and improve their grades. We have power hours offered for each grade level every evening. The times for the power hours are posted on our class pages, so students can just jump into the Zoom anytime during that hour and have support from an adult on their schoolwork or get any questions answered. And parents are also welcome and encouraged to log on and into a power hour, and they can get their questions answered or any assistance they need to help their child. And again, those Zoom links and times can be found on the class pages. The Seneca class page, as well as the Seneca Facebook page, are additional ways we are communicating and trying to get parent engagement. In addition, Beth Hagland and myself are working together to develop new ways to increase our parent and community involvement in the PTO. So anyone interested in being part of that parent-teacher organization, please reach out to me. We would love to develop this committee further as the year continues. We've also held 2 tech nights with Sue Schnoffner so far this year to support parents and students with any of their tech questions or concerns. I'm excited to say we will have a 3rd night with Sue on Thursday, January 14th. The times and the Zoom link will be posted on Facebook as well as the Seneca class page. A really strong focus at Seneca this school year has been the social emotional needs of the students. We started the year out using a curriculum called Ignite Your Shine, and we did this building wide to help develop a commonality and begin the journey of social emotional learning at Seneca. As a building, we also focus on new character traits each month. So we began this in October, and we've covered the character traits of cooperation, compassion, integrity. And when we come back to school, when we finally return at some point, we'll be focusing on responsibility. We have check-in and attendance surveys that students at Seneca take daily. And with this survey, students answer a few social emotional questions based on the zones of regulation. And so this information is then seen by our attendance officer and also the counselors. And if there's a red flag that a student's struggling based on the survey answers, we can help right away. And this seems to be working really, really well. The staff at Seneca are working diligently to continue to educate students in their learning, as well as trying to make school as fun as possible during this crazy time. It's very clear in every conversation that I have with teachers and staff that we all want to do what's best for kids. And one thing that I'm the most proud of in our building is back in the fall, students, teachers, and staff participated in a school slogan challenge. And so the classrooms worked together to develop a motto that we could use for the school year, and they posted them on their classroom doors. And then we had a vote, and after a very, very close vote, the slogan selected for Seneca this year was Seneca School, where every second counts and every student matters. So we've decided that we're going to focus on this motto as we persevere through the winter months and into the spring. And just, hopefully be there for everyone and every student and family. And as always, if any student or grown-up is struggling, needs assistance in any way, has an idea, a suggestion, a comment, anything, please reach out to me by phone or email. We want everyone to be successful, and we have the support staff, and we're willing and able to help. So just a big thank you to everyone for remaining positive and supportive during this time.
Thank you. Last but not least, Mr. Siebert.
Thank you, Teresa. Good evening, everyone. At the high school, we have a number of measures we are using to engage parents, students, and help address SEL concerns. Since the end of October, each grade level has assigned one staff member to be the point of contact for students that may have concerns. The grade level teachers then use Teams to communicate the concerns or positives to the point of contact. That point of contact then is the one that makes parent contact, parent phone calls. The reason why we're doing this is that way we're not overwhelming the parents with numerous people calling them. What we found, honestly, is that some parents are just like, it's just too much. So we're focusing on one particular staff member, building that relationship with the parents and communicating both concerns and also positives to those. This has worked well, and we were able to motivate a lot of students at the close of the first marking period and really increased the number of students that were successful and ended up passing the first quarter. As we begin January, we are reassigning our advisories, which is kind of like our homeroom group, based on grade levels. Typically speaking, we had it as a multi-level or multi-grade advisory. And we have each teacher is assigned a small pot of students, somewhere between 5 and 10. And they will have mandatory meetings with the advisory on Mondays as a check-in and organization time for the week. This is meant to provide a safe home base for the students, where the adults can monitor their SEL needs and help them to create a schedule for the week. As we roll out the SEL curriculum, this will be a possible venue to present it to the students. There will also be, or there are also monitoring questions that pop up on the students' class pages to determine their particular mental state at that time. We are also trying to provide resources to the parents in a variety of ways. Katie Mendel hosted our first parent cafe the second week in December. We are partnering with Katie as part of a different SEL COSER that I'll talk about a little bit later. But for this particular instance, she volunteered her time to help us present this parent cafe. The cafe itself was an idea that was developed by our counselors and social workers to provide help and support to our parents. The cafe was only for our parents and the staff at Salamanca. And I am thankful that we have alumni like Katie who is willing to give back to the community. This first cafe was about an hour long, and it focused on Trauma 101 and resiliency. Part of the presentation was about ACEs, which is a measure of the likelihood of having trauma. ACEs stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. We had about 30 participants that included parents and staff. I am thankful that one of the local businesses did donate a gift card that we did a drawing, and we were able to give one of the parent participants that gift card. We are planning another cafe based on parent input. The parent input is being organized this coming week and next week for our next parent cafe. During the actual presentation, we did discover that we had a Salamanca family that was struggling with Christmas and providing for their children. It came out during that in one of the chats. And we were able to do some last minute shopping to purchase some gifts for that family. I also want to mention that on December 18th, Santa and his elves delivered gifts to 28 families covering about 80 Salamanca students. Santa and the elves were well received, and it was very much appreciated. It was neat because honestly, we were remote that week, and we've done it in the past, but this particular instance, we were able to see numerous kids, and the looks on their faces were absolutely priceless. Salamanca is truly a magical place. The number of teachers, staff, outside people, and organizations that contribute and adopt families is amazing. We have alumni all the way from Maryland and friends of that alumni that live in Maryland near that person that adopt kids. And each year it grows bigger and bigger, and it spreads simply by word of mouth. I had someone reach out from Massachusetts that was interested in doing more next year or adopting a family next year. So we are able to do more, and I am just so thankful for that. I guess personally, I feel blessed because I get a chance to see the faces of the people that we deliver to, and the gratitude that they have and the thankfulness that they have is just absolutely amazing. Lastly, the SCL COSER that Katie runs, that I talked about a little bit briefly earlier, is also putting on a parent university, and that's starting in January, and it runs through June. This particular program is open to any family from any of the school districts that participate in the COSER. Obviously, Salamanca is one of them. The first session is January 21st from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m., and it's entitled Pandemic Parenting. This session will allow parents and caregivers to connect on the challenges of parenting during the pandemic. They will learn specific tips on managing behaviors in the home, navigating and balancing the new normal, and available community resources for support. In addition, there will be opportunities for discussion specific to age ranges and grade levels of the children. The information for all sessions is posted on the main page of our website under Parent University, and registration is required for those. So that's just kind of a snapshot of what the high school has kind of taken part in the last month and a half. As the other schools have said, Nikki and Gail, I mean, if parents need anything, call us, email us, let us know. We are more than welcome, or more than willing to do whatever we can to help support any student or parent during this time. So that's about it for us.
Awesome, thank you. And now we'll move on to our directors. So let's start off with Ms. Brown.
Hi. I would first like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much. I am so excited and proud to take this as the next step in my career as director of tech. While the idea of stepping outside my comfort zone of curriculum and into the vast new world of software and hardware was a bit nerve-wracking, I'm finding a new home here in this district, and I am unbelievably grateful. I'm able to utilize my classroom experience and assist in the development of the processes and procedures that will have a positive impact on learning for all of our kids and adults, and it's so awesome. Tech office updates. The tech office has experienced a significant amount of changes within the last few weeks. Rodney Creed, Jake Healy, and Scott Collins have moved their offices from the high school over to Fern Street. And we've set the house up that's over there, and they have office spaces for each one of them. The office within the high school is still the home for the rest of our techs. So we've got Bob Quinlan, Jay Weischen, Mike Myers, Emma Timlin, and myself in here. Our first goal is to make technology accessible for everybody. Our techs are training in various areas of need for our school community. They're participating in training for PowerSchool, Microsoft, and they're also building their own capacity to assist students and teachers in all facets of teaching and learning. They've met, the techs that are physically in our office have met a number of our families, assisting them with getting anything from a hotspot to logging in, to different things. They're on the phones here constantly, talking to families and walking them through different processes. It's awesome. They've instituted a new help desk system to support the entire learning community. You can easily reach out by emailing. It's just helpdesk@salamanca.ny.org. Tell us what you need, and one of the techs will respond to you, and you'll get email updates as to the status of your request. So when it first comes in, you'll get an email back saying that we've received your request, and the tech will respond to you. And as we move through the process, you can just email back and forth with that same one, and it maintains an open ticket. It is spectacular. We actually we used it as a trial run for about a month, and in the process of getting it paid for, we lost it for a week. And every single one of the techs was in the office going, when are we going to have that back up and running? Is that back up and running yet? It was actually cracking me up, because they just got so accustomed to the ease of use and how quickly they could respond to people and efficiently they could respond. It's really great. I'm really loving it. It also has the ability to inventory all of our tech equipment and materials and stuff. So when we send out a device to a kid or an adult or anyone in district, it tags that device number. So when they request help, we can look up that device and pull it right up and have access to a bunch of different pieces that allow us to have a much easier time of assisting them in whatever they need. It's really nice. We continue to support district technology plans and efforts in improvement. To streamline tech needs, the office will be creating an informational store of current hardware and software being utilized by the district. So this is a work in progress. It will literally be, someplace teachers and faculty members can go, staff members can go and look and see what we're using and decide if it's what they want or not. It'll be all the hardware and software. So if they're looking for a microphone, they can look in and see and get a review on what the techs say is a good mic to have in a classroom, or a webcam or a hover cam or whatever we need. So they can they'll be able to get a lot of information off of that. Just a lot of different work. This is a huge learning curve for me, and I'm so excited. It's unbelievable. As always, our door is open and everyone is welcome. Please stop by, say hello when we're all back in business, I guess. But thank you so much for this.
Awesome, thank you. How about Miss Dudek?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity as well. We want to share some positive information with all of you from Pupil Services and from the CSE office. So some highlights for parent engagement from Pupil Services really revolves around our registration. We've implemented very quickly last spring and continued with the help of Levi and the Power School team, our online registration. Where that makes me so happy is that I was allowed to speak to every single family that was registering. Whether it was UPK, kindergarten, transferring back in, whatever was going on, I was able to have that personal connection and link them with who they needed help from within the district. We are very excited to continue this plan moving forward, as long as the Attorney General will let us do that. And this new process also allows us to have things signed through Adobe and through what's called our collaboration portal, which again saves time for families. We know that time is precious. So by scheduling times to come in, having things signed electronically, we're not only making that connection, but we're saving our families time. But I would be amiss if I did not thank our SROs, our social workers, our counselors, the building clerical staff, and the liaisons. They were instrumental in being the foot on the ground and out in the community, helping us when we could not reach families due to COVID. They would go and pick up things that were left on porches, take pictures, make copies, bring them back to ensure that all students were registered and able to start in a timely fashion. And I'd also like to share that we will be very soon announcing the opening for registration for UPK and kindergarten for the 21 and 22 school year. So I would like to be the first to tell parents to watch our website, Facebook, and all of the different portals to the welcoming of the graduating classes of 2034 and 2035 to the Salamanca family. So for CSE, we've done a lot with parent engagement. The pandemic has actually helped the CSE office, which sounds a little strange, but because we are now holding all of our CSE meetings via Zoom with alternate options for families if they need to in advance, we have seen an increase from a 50% parent participation rate to 90% as of today. We have already held over 100 meetings this year. And if that continues, that just shows how having families reach out to us, having our staff reach out to the families, having Mr. Parisi send his reminder emails every 10 days to our staff that meetings are coming up and remind them to have that engagement with families has really paid off. We cannot thank the families enough for contributing via Zoom and participating, because without them, we can't help their children, and that's what we're here to do. As far as social emotional learning, Mr. Parisi and I have been attending some Saturday and Sunday evening in-services, and we have been able to bring some presenters back to the district. I want to thank Penny Beatty for bringing Mr. Mendler to speak with our clerical staff, and the upcoming trainings in the evenings that are going to be through Heidi LaFleur for our staff to deal with families and students experiencing varying degrees of trauma. Something that Mr. Parisi and I both also wanted to share is that we cannot thank the Salamanca board, administration, faculty, staff, and families enough. We participate in several meetings a month across not only Western New York, but New York State. And we have heard multiple times since March how other districts are struggling to meet the needs of their students, both students with disabilities and without. And what this could be providing services, completing evaluations, or engaging families. Our proactive approach to finding ways to provide those services so quickly last March and to continue to find new ways has not gone unnoticed. We have been requested on multiple occasions to link other districts with our staff to discuss how they have been able to implement services so quickly and efficiently. We are honored to share the things that Salamanca staff have done and continue to do so on a daily basis. I just want to thank those staff for the time that they've taken to work with other staff members across New York State. And we've even had a few federal members reach out to say, how can they implement things that we're doing in their districts as well? Last but not least, we understand how stressful this change has been for social emotional learners. But we'd also like to focus that we do have some students that have severe social anxiety, and we have some parents that have that as well. Zoom has given us that opportunity to find other ways to help those struggles. Some of our students that struggle to walk into a building daily have made deep connections with individuals, have reached out via Zoom, and felt very comfortable talking to a point where now they are turning on their cameras and allowing us to see into their worlds. They're starting to succeed socially and academically by finding a system that works for them. So we are excited to continue to investigate alternative service options for those students in the coming months and years to allow them to continue to feel that success that they deserve to feel. So with that, the PPS office is always available. If you leave a message, our voicemails come directly to our phones and to our computers, so we will get back to you as quickly as possible. And again, get ready for that email coming out for online registration for the graduating class of 2034 and 2035.
Thank you. Thanks for making us feel older. Last but not least is Miss Penny Beatty.
Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. I'm going to kind of piggyback off of what Kristen said. We've been working a lot with the social emotional piece with our, actually our entire district. We've, Karen McGarrett reached out before and suggested that why don't we try and, we have done a lot of PD with bus drivers and a lot of other people, but let's try and include clerical staff and everything. So we're really putting an effort into that. They have taken place like Karen said with Karen Mendler or Brian Mendler. We've also set up Heidi LaFleur. Heidi's she has several, we have like a 3-part series she's gonna work on called Soaring Balloons and Heavy Shoes. The ABCs of making every day excellent for every child. And her last one is called Those Kids, her last training. Another thing that we are working on, and we've included our explicit direct instruction that has been one of our district initiatives, but we were able to pull in with DataWorks some social emotional pieces with it. So today, we had the first training on anxiety reducing tips to reach our students while we're keeping our explicit direct instruction going with the teachers, but including that. Next week, we're working on how to deliver remote teaching for the first time instruction for pre-K, including the EDI. We've also set up supporting academic language and content language. So we, like I said, we're continuing to do that. We've also set up through Michelle Red-Eye, we've set up COVID coping with Dr. Daryl Tonema, and he's working on mindfulness and motivation, intrinsic motivation with our students. We're also talking just overall about continuing all of our district initiatives and looking forward at our summer professional development. Guess that's about it. I'm excited. On February 5th, we have a guest speaker coming in. He's an author. His name is Mike Schmoker. He works a lot. He's going to be presenting to our teachers via Zoom, but he's going to be presenting to them on improving instruction in the classroom. So it's exciting to have an author, a well-known author, present. And that's about it. And again, thank you to everybody for your continued support, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Penny. Do any board members have any questions for any of the principals or directors? Okay, then we'll move on to Super Bob.
Thank you. Let me just pull up my notes here. So quite a few elements that I'd like to share with the board and the community tonight. First, during the course of the first hour of our board meeting, we had 66 people on Zoom and 45 on Facebook Live. So I would be hard pressed to tell you that the regular participants of approximately 100 viewers, some are staff, some are parents, some are community members, some are our partners in the Seneca Nation and the community. I think that's something we can all be proud of and celebrate. So thank you to everyone for joining us. I do want to kind of start with, as Covey says, the end in mind. Later in the agenda, there is a thank you portion, and I would like to read a thank you letter that was sent to one of our staff by the State Education Department, addressed to Rachel Wolf, who also happens to be one of our Seneca language instructors and our language department chair. Now, Escanio, as you know, the Office of Bilingual Education and World Languages has been collaborating with experts and educators across the state to revise the New York State learning standards for world languages. We wish to express our sincere appreciation to you for your work on the standards revision committees for Indigenous languages and for the Western New York region, as well as your presentation to the New York State Board of Regents on Monday. This was about 3 weeks ago. We were moved by your powerful remarks at the December 14th Board of Regents meeting in support of the revised world languages standards, in particular, your explanation of the importance of hearing the voices of Indigenous language teachers, and by extension, the voices of the elders of each nation during this process. In addition, it was so poignant to hear how these languages are not just being taught for the same reasons as other modern languages, but rather to ensure the legacy of Indigenous languages for future generations. Thank you for being an integral part of the standards revision process and for your passionate advocacy for Indigenous languages. We look forward to the adoption of the revised standards and continued collaboration with yourself and other educators, as well as with the Native American Education Center, our united goal being to preserve the diverse languages and cultures of Indigenous peoples in our state. Thank you again, Mrs. Wolf, for your service to our profession, and please accept our best wishes for a happy and safe holiday season. Sincerely, Elisa Alvarez, Associate Commissioner, and Candace Black, World Language Associate. So congratulations, Rachel, and thank you. Moving on with a couple of other updates, we are meeting on January 13th with our strategic planning partner, Education Elements. And as I had mentioned previously, we will have strategic sprints in literacy and critical thinking skills. And this will operate in concert with internal district initiatives also relating to our life skills goal as part of our strategic plan. In this realm for literacy and critical thinking skills, we will continue to partner with Ed Elements, the Seneca Nation Education Department. We'll be adding the Seneca Nation Higher Education Department, our language staff, and continuing to partner with the Chamber of Commerce, the city, and our district personnel. Given the focus on literacy, we will be expanding the strategic planning group to include our ELA coaches as well as the librarians from Prospect, Seneca, and the high school. We are currently looking, and this is out to Mr. Siebert and Mrs. McGarrah, I know who are on the call. From the high school, we would like to add a junior and a senior student to this process as well. So we'll be touching base real soon for next week, Wednesday. It's approximately a 2.5-hour meeting via Zoom. Also next week, we have a phase 3.3 and 3.4 kickoff or relaunch with our district architects, Stieglitz, Snyder, and Labella, who will help the district bring home phase 3.3 and 3.4 of the recent capital project work approved by the community. For those who are not familiar, this includes the high school track field, amenities outside for the track and field at the high school, tennis courts, lighting, and other site work on the main campus. It also includes renovations to the district office and Prospect classroom expansions and Seneca Science Room renovations in the old 1991 middle school wing. This will occur on the 14th. Also, for the past several months, a little spoiler alert and precursor of what will be coming in the next 2 weeks. The board has been engaged in multiple conversations about property acquisitions and purchases of property contiguous and adjoining the high school campus. This will be a positive step for the district, and we expect a formal resolution on these properties on the meeting of the 19th. Our objective is to secure these properties via vote to allow Stieglitz, Snyder, and Labella flexibility in designing the amenities on the main campus work for site work. This will require voter approval, which we anticipate a community referendum will occur in March, and then a subsequent allocation and referendum to improve those properties if they exceed the existing scope of work already approved by the community. And again, that'll be coming soon to a board meeting on the 19th. There is also an upcoming statewide equity and diversity forum. I've reached out to a number of our staff members, including Mr. Shapp, Mrs. Beatty, and several other staff members to participate in that digital forum. There are multiple, I believe it's a 2-day event, approximately 4 hours each day, talking about statewide equity and diversity issues. So I think it's important to have a strong both physical and digital presence in these conversations representing the Salamanca School District. 2 other quick items. We did confirm today a meeting with the Seneca Nation President Pagels and Mayor Sandy McGarrah from Salamanca. Teresa Ray and I will be meeting with President Pagels and Mayor McGarrah to talk about joint endeavors and ways that we can collaborate and support our community. And it's my hope that this will be a regular, frequent tribunal of the nation, the city, and the district, because we know when the 3 entities collaborate and communicate, great things happen within our community. And lastly, we have a date set to begin successor negotiations with the Salamanca Teachers Association, and that will occur as a kickoff for next week in anticipation of the contract expiring in June 30th of 2021. We're excited beginning to have these conversations, and we will be providing the board with regular updates as those conversations occur. Dr. Beeler and Mrs. McGarrah will be running point on those conversations for the district, and we're excited. And thank you everyone for all that you've done, and thank you for the principals And Mrs. Ray, it occurred to me that we didn't allow in the communications for any board roundtable or comments. So I'll yield any remaining time that I might have back to you and the board if there are any other comments. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything else they wish to say? You can start, Meg.
Oh, yeah, Bob, there was a comment in the chat from Stephanie Hogue asking for more detail, I guess, about the reopening plan.
Okay. Dr. Beeler, how about you start?
How did I know you were going to throw that to me? Thank you. That's a great question. So Stephanie, for those of you who are on Facebook who don't see that, is asking about educators in the orange zone being allowed in to return to school. I think that we have sort of discussed this, but I don't know tonight if we're fully prepared to make a determination on this. I would ask until we be given until noon tomorrow, just so that we make a positive decision on this. So Stephanie, thanks for bringing that up. That is sort of on our radar, but there has been some ongoing discussions about this, but I don't think at this moment we can say one way or the other, but just give us till noon and we'll make that decision for tomorrow.
I think if memory serves me correct, we're talking about 15 or 17 staff members that have a residence within an orange zone, predominantly Erie County. I should say when this process began with the micro clusters, we did determine that we had a number of staff members that we needed to revise our understanding of where they actually resided and update some information. So that number actually came down just a few staff members. So we'll be reaching out, as Mark had said, and part of that conversation will likely be reaching out to those staff members and confirming that they are where we think they are, and then making a decision. We want everyone to be safe, and we want to follow our 3 principles of safety, wellness, and quality instruction. And I guess, Stephanie, thanks for that question. Stay tuned, and we'll be responding to staff sometime tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. Meg, did you have anything else?
No, I've got a crabby baby here, but just to reinforce to everyone what I said earlier, in the evening, that just please take care of yourselves, take care of everyone else. Just be careful, stay the course. Very promising vaccines that are being studied in our community. So that's it.
Okay. Sue?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Carrie?
Hey, evening, everyone. Yeah, I did want to kind of back up what Jess Krause's statements earlier about the Title VI committee. In the years that I've been on the school board, we've always had limited participation, I want to say, from our community. And it seems like every year I'm always beating the drum and tooting the horn and trying to get anybody to join Title VI and to come to the meetings and to learn more about the district and everything else that's going on. We typically have anywhere from 4 to 8 people who show up at the meetings regularly. So my request is to the community, look at getting involved. Look at joining us during these meetings. Right now, it's pretty simple to just get on the Zoom and join us. I know pre-COVID, we were meeting in person. We were having meetings in a small conference room at the education wing at the ACC. But right now with the Zoom, I think it's a little easier for people to try to, allocate some time. So that's just my request. That's my plea is anybody out there who's listening, who hears this, if you're interested in Title VI, if you're interested in our school district, if you're interested in the education of the children, please join us. She did mention too that we will be having Title VI elections again for the parent committee officers coming up. I can't remember exactly which month it is, but I know it's towards the end of winter, spring that we usually do it. Just another opportunity to get people interested and hopefully to join us. It's always a good conversation. Sometimes we have food, which makes it even better, but of course we got to wait for in-person there before that happens. but just another enticing little tidbit. Other than that, I just want to say welcome back to virtual learning for everybody. Thanking all the staff, everybody who puts in the time and effort. I hope everyone had a good holiday season and we're ready to start learning again. I know I'm ready to start learning again. So just thank you, everybody.
Okay, how about Brad? No, yes,
I'm good tonight.
okay. Barb?
Just thank everybody for all the reports. It was very interesting, and Happy New Year and stay safe.
Same, just Happy New Year to everybody. I hope this new year finds it a little bit better than last year, that we do get the people go out and get shots as soon as they can, that they stay safe, that they're practicing social distancing again, keep your circle small. Again, it was very informational hearing from all of the principals and directors about what's going on, and especially all the help that's out there. If people don't know what to do, where they can go to just kind of yell that they need help, and there's going to be people around that are going to be able to put them in the right direction. So thank you to everybody. And with that, I am going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
You skip Dale.
Oh, geez, Dale, how did I skip you?
Poor Dale, you get left
I
out.
even had you written down on my note. Look, I've got a note so I don't forget anybody, and yet I forgot you. So.
It says Dale first, doesn't it? Okay, thanks. Once again, I apologize for my slow internet. It's been real choppy tonight. I, for one, am glad to see the year 2020 in the rear view mirror, and I'm looking forward to good things happening in 2021. I want to thank all the faculty, staff, administrators, parents that are making a big difference in our students' lives. Please continue to make good choices. The more good choices we make now, it's going to make this COVID thing a lot shorter. So thank you very much. I'm good now, Teresa.
Thanks, Dale. I'm sorry. I would never, ever intentionally forget you.
T-Ray, I wanted to take another. I think Sue declined to comment. Let me take Sue's turn.
Oh, okay.
I forgot. I know Bob went over the numbers again, but how many people did we have on Facebook Live?
At one point in time on Zoom, we had 66 people on the Zoom, and the highest number on Facebook Live was 45.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's refreshing to see. I noticed tonight we had a lot more participation on, I don't monitor the Facebook, but I see the Zoom, and I see we had more participation than the last board meeting. And I kind of mentioned that at the last board meeting too, that, it's good to see we're getting more involvement. I mean, this is 10 times the amount of people who show up live for a board meeting. So it's refreshing to see, I'd like to see the participation, and that kind of leads me to being more hopeful, even with the Title VI. More people can easily attend these meetings by sitting at home and getting on the Zoom. So that was just one thing. I just wanted to go over the numbers again. And I think, I know we had the conversation about ski club, and we're looking forward to getting that finally off the ground and, getting kids involved with that. So obviously everyone knows that I'm a big skier. It's even right here on there. But I think that's great. The kids need it. They need an activity. It's like last summer when everything was going on. The only thing anyone could do was go golf. Over the winter time, everybody just they feel trapped. They feel like there's nothing they can do. There's no activity they can do. We have everything closed around us. The one thing that's open and it's socially distant is skiing. I work there 2 days a week, and I can attest to the fact that you go on that hill and there's nobody around you for 40 feet, 50 feet. The lift lines are socially distant, masks are being used. It's a pretty safe environment by my estimation. And I'm just glad to hear that we're finally thinking about, giving the green light to let these kids go do an activity that's healthy, gets them moving, gets their mind going. I mentioned before that I was there. The first night I was on patrol was a Thursday night, and it wasn't as busy as years past because we didn't have the Holiday Valley doesn't have the bus participation like years past. It's way down this year, but that first Thursday night I was there, it was great to hear the kids there. There was so many kids there, and you could hear laughter. You know, they had their music playing, their Bluetooth speakers. It was just great to see and great to hear. You know, it seems like it's been so long since we've heard that kind of, you know, camaraderie with kids. And, you know, I just look at it as it's something that's needed. You know, kids need to get out. You know, they need to do something. They need to interact. And if you're not a skier, imagine that part of the main uniform that people wear, they have a mask on regardless. It's cold out there. People wear a mask no matter what. So it's a no-brainer for people to be on the slopes. But that's it. I just wanted to bring that up.
Carrie, if Ms. Teresa, if I can just jump in here, there are at least in the most current iteration of the potential participants, 83 students have expressed an interest to participate. The vast majority of those students are good, ready to go. We do have a few students that have some eligibility requirements. If they want to ski, they got to provide a little bit better effort. But we've talked with the principals about using Ski Club for some of those kids as a little incentive to kind of turn the corner. I don't know what the ski analogy is, but to turn around and go in a slightly different direction with their academic focus. And as soon as we get that final list, then we're good to go on our end. The advisors will be working in close concert with Mrs. Beaver, Mr. Siebert, and Mr. Finch in the transportation department. So it'll be up and running as soon as humanly possible. We're just dotting I's and crossing T's on the actual eligible list. So thank you to the advisors and to the principals and to Mr. Finch for getting us in a position to make this happen. So on our end, there's really no obstacle but kind of I dotting and T crossing at this point in time, and the numbers are up.
That's great to hear. Thanks, Bob. Anyone needs a lesson, just let me know.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Then we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion, Meg.
Second,
Dale.
I got a motion by Meg and I think a second by Dale. I'll just read them
Or
off.
Carrie.
Or Carrie, either one, but
I know Dale spoke before me. His internet's just 10 seconds behind.
I know.
Yeah,
Are we doing
there's
it?
like a 5-second lag.
So I'm just gonna do a roll call for yes or no because it seems to work out a little better. Meg?
Teresa, pardon me. Are we doing that with Carrie or Dale? A second.
Dale?
Thank you.
Meg?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Yes.
Sue? Do you a yes or a no?
She's muted.
I see that. Carrie?
Yes.
Dale?
Yes.
Brad? Brad's a thumbs up. Barb?
Yes.
Barb's a yes. So we have 6 yes and 1 no response. So motion carried. Our old business is our policies. So we need a motion to approve the naming of school facilities. Items 1, 2, and 3. So I need a motion for that.
This will make it official.
Motion.
Okay. I'm not sure who
Your
motioned.
choice, Teresa.
I think it was Barb beat me to the punch.
Okay. So we got a motion by Barb. Second by
Sue Freeze.
Second by Sue. Okay. Meg.
Thumbs
Yeah,
up.
Thumbs up by Meg. Sue,
Yes.
Susie, yes. Carrie,
Yes.
Dale,
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Brad, thumbs up. Barb,
Yes.
Barb is a yes. I am a yes. All in favor, motion carried. Now, let's see. Item 7 is our list of surplus items. So we need a motion to list the 14 items in the agenda as surplus.
So
Motion.
move.
Motion Meg.
Second, Sue.
Second Sue. All in favor. Meg. Meg is thumbs up. Sue.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Dale. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Brad. Thumbs up. Barb.
Yes.
Yes. I am a yes. All in favor, motion carried. Item B is our budget transfers that was attached. So we need a motion to approve the budget transfers.
Motion.
Motion.
By Carrie,
Second.
second by Dale. Are there any questions on any of the budget transfers? Okay. Meg,
Yes.
yes. Sue,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Dale. Dale's a thumbs up.
Yes.
Brad, thumbs up. Barb,
Yes.
I am also a yes. So 7 yes, motion carried. Item 8 is our personnel consent agenda. So we need a motion to approve the personnel consent agenda.
Motion, Barb.
Motion Barb,
Second, Brad.
second Brad. Are there any questions? Okay. Meg,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Dale, thumbs up.
Yes.
Brad, thumbs up. Barb,
Yes.
I am also a yes. 7 yes, motion carried. And do we have any staff that we can introduce, Bob?
Well, we have one staff that we can acknowledge. Mrs. Polly Hansen is on the call. I did not see any others on, but thank you to Polly for stepping up to participate as our 12th grade co-team leader. This is something new that we've implemented to try and make sure no seniors, juniors, or sophomores fall through the crack. That's something that we didn't have previously. So thank you to Polly and the other staff members, and thanks to the Teachers Association and Mr. Siebert really for being champions to bring this forward to our attention. So Polly, as always, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Polly. Okay, item 9 is our information.
This is Ray. I'm sorry. I did see Kayla Capuccio, who's also one of the advisors for the 10th grade. And Kayla, thank you for your willingness to step forward. I know 10th grade is a pretty tough year, and thank you for working to keep the 10th grade kids and staff in line. We really appreciate all of your efforts for our team leaders. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, Bob?
I don't think so.
Okay, then we'll move on to our board information reports. We already read the thank you note. Again, congratulations to Rachel. And then we have our Seneca Nation employees that are working in the districts and our upcoming events. We have our personnel committee on the 7th, finance on the 12th, Indigenous education on the 13th, no school on the 18th, and then Board of Education on the 19th. So thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. As Mr. John said, it's great to have people on. And hopefully when we are back in person, people will come and join us in person too. We do need to go into an executive session for the purpose of contracts and property. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll motion. And also, thank you, everyone.
Second, Meg.
Motion by Carrie, second by Mag. All in favor? Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
We do not anticipate action after the meeting.